Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the BTN Student U Indiana Basketball Show. I'm Brandon Schaff alongside Connor Hines once again for what is sure to be an exciting edition of the show. Both the men's and women's teams were back in action last week, and you couldn't have scripted it any better. The women traveled to Minnesota, which featured a performance from junior Allie Patberg that would make even former Hoosier and all-time great Tyra Buss proud. Meanwhile, the men showed Penn State what some tenacious defense and the roar of a packed Assembly Hall can do when the number 9 ranked Nittany Lions come to town.
Yeah, what a difference just a week makes, right? I mean, last Sunday, the IU women suddenly looked a little wobbly after surrendering 80 points at home to a less than amazing Ohio State team. And as for Archie Miller's crew, well, it's still Indiana basketball after all. Nothing will ever be certain until it actually is on Selection Sunday. But after a successful stretch, the Hoosiers are squarely back inside most brackets, headed to West Lafayette this Thursday.
Well, you hit it all over the head, and let's get into men's basketball. So, looking for their third win in the last 4 games, the Hoosiers welcomed the red-hot Nittany Lions to Bloomington on Sunday for their first game at home since defeating the number 21 ranked Iowa Hawkeyes just 2 weeks ago. Well, it's probably no surprise Indiana willed its way to another win at home, finishing it out 68-60, doing so against the number 9 ranked Penn State Nittany Lions after leading by 19 points at the end of the first half was something no one expected. And yet, head coach Archie Miller knew from the moment he took the job just 2 seasons ago that a defensive performance like the Hoosiers gave on Sunday would be all they need to compete with just about anyone.
The identity of the team has to be defense first. Defense creates the offense, and then the offensive side of the ball is about taking care of it. I think for so long we played games where guys worried about, playing on offense. Why can't you score? Why are you going through such a long shooting drought? Why are you this? Why are you that? And at the end of the day, that's irrelevant. If you're great defensively, you're going to have a chance.
Well, it looks like the Hoosiers might have just given themselves that chance, and they've been looking for that for the past 3 years. As of Monday, ESPN's Joe Lunardi has Indiana as a 10 seed in the Midwest region of the NCAA Tournament, which would mean they'd be headed to Cleveland. And Connor, they really wouldn't be in this position if it wasn't for guys like sophomore Race Thompson and freshman Trace Jackson-Davis putting up major showings on Sunday.
No, I mean, look, that first half against Penn State is exactly how most halves of basketball, Indiana basketball, should be played, and that started up front with Race Thompson. I mean, feeding the paint consistently, emphasizing defense, tossing in a couple three-pointers from the likes of Devontae Green to give them the extra boost. And that was just really clinical all the way around. Back-to-back games now for Indiana that we've seen stellar defensive performances. And there's no secret. You have to play through the bigs on this team. The early ball pressure for Indiana just carried that momentum forward. And we've seen, as recently as on the road in Ann Arbor, when defense isn't the focus for this Indiana team, things generally don't point in the right direction. I mean, Archie Miller's system has always been predicated on defense first, and when they don't play through those bigs up front, it's generally not going to point to good things for Indiana. So a good change of pace moving forward. And Brandon, I mean, talking about the big picture moving forward now, I mean, you have to just emphasize the confidence that this win brings for Indiana moving forward. 6th Quad 1 win of the year. And that's got to do a lot for them moving forward on the road to Purdue. Purdue losers of 4 straight now, and having lost 4 in Mackey Arena, Mackey Arena suddenly isn't this untouchable venue that no one can win in.
No, not anymore. And you want to talk about Assembly Hall being the Carnegie Hall of basketball. That's what a lot of people refer to it as. Well, Mackey Arena really does have that same kind of flair. It's just as difficult to play there, and the Hoosiers will definitely be battle-tested when they go in there. I think that this win in the last game is definitely a huge opportunity for them to really prove that they have the ability to really take advantage of that defensive prowess. It's what Archie Miller has been trying to get them to do this entire time, and now they head forward, and this final stretch of the game, the final stretch of the season here is really going to be great for their March tournament bid.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Well, with every setback that Teri Moren and her team have faced this season, Indiana's been able to take 2 more steps forward. In spite of that tough loss to Ohio State over a week ago, the Hoosiers once more learned from their mistakes, and 6 days later showed why this team is still plenty deserving of a top 4 seed in the Big Ten tournament. It's becoming hard to tell when Indiana is playing on the road or not. On Saturday, IU locked up its 9th win away from Assembly Hall, getting the best of Minnesota 75-69. 2 words for you, Allie Patberg. That's it. That's the recap right there. But seriously, Indiana's star point guard is heating up even more when it matters most, going for a season-high 29 in Minneapolis, a major factor in IU's ability to shoot over 50% from the floor. 12 lead changes proved to be no great issue for the Hoosiers, who improved to 11-5 in conference play, still holding on to that number 4 seed as we enter the final week of the regular season. And Brandon, you have to talk about Ali Pabrick.
Yeah.
Truly remarkable.
Yeah, she's just been absolutely exceptional. You want to talk about a career game for her, but really what she was able to just do in the first half of that game is exceptional. I mean, there are very few Hoosiers, if any, that have ever had that kind of a first half performance like that. And really, that's not something you see from a lot of players in college basketball in general. And it really speaks volumes to what Ali Pabrick has meant to this team. You know, coming here, she's a transfer. She hasn't been here the entire time, and she's really led the way in a way that a lot of people expected seniors like Brenna Wise to be doing, which she's been kind of getting on the right track, but she really needs to continue that play as they head towards the Big Ten tournament here, which, you know, we've talked about. They could very well be one of the top seeds in that tournament when it comes around next week.
Yeah, 14.6 points per game for Ali Pabrick. That's a tick down from last year, but it's the spots in which she's getting those points. 18 on the road at Penn State. That was a massive game for Indiana just to bounce back after a couple losses in a row. 20 in that overtime win against Wisconsin, and now this big performance against Minnesota. Truly remarkable. But you did mention Brenna Wise, and I think it really comes down to her performance moving forward, welcoming Nebraska this Thursday. Of course, the last time Brenna Wise reached double figures, that was the first time she reached double figures in over 2 months. That was last time Indiana faced off against the Cornhuskers, and now they have a chance. Now they have a chance to play the Cornhuskers again this Thursday. I mean, senior night, Brenna Wise being the lone senior on this team, you've got to expect a big night out of her, right?
Yeah, all eyes on Brenna Wise for that final game. And it's, well, not the final game, but the final game at home. That'll be really exciting to see how things play out with that.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Talk about an exciting week for Indiana men's and women's basketball, and there's certainly a lot more to come. We'll have the coverage right here on the BTN Student U Indiana Basketball Show, so stick with us all season long and join us every Friday from the Franklin Hall lobby for more on the upcoming games this week. He's Brandon, I'm Connor, and for more Indiana Hoosiers coverage, be sure to follow us all season long on the IU Sports Media Instagram and YouTube pages. We'll see you next time.